snap. Oh man. I didn't want to have to do it. Oh man. They made me do it, man. We are live. They woke up the beast on this one, man. This whole thing is getting out of control. Oh, man. Getting set up. Oh, man. Something is getting out of control. Oh man. Welcome. Oh man. Hey yo, I'm gonna lose a few friends on this one for sure. Oh man. Hey, but check this out. If you do happen to hit the unfriend button, okay? If you do happen to hit that, it's been an honor Facebooking and social media and it. Peace! I gotta give him this truth, man. Oh, man. Music brought to you by Latin Dream. What up? Yo, I owe you for this one, man. Shout out to PTMG. I know they're going to be in the building tonight. Now, I know some of y'all may not like this, man, but this is not directed at y'all, okay? Don't take it personal. Hey, yo, man, go check out Tough and those guys on the stew. Catch them almost every day, pretty much, man. Facebook, YouTube. They're breaking down some powerful new music, new artists. Make sure you go check them out, man. We're almost there. Almost there. Yeah. Once again, good looking on the beat, Latin Dream. Gotta get them back on the stream, man. We gotta get them back on. Tough for those guys too, man. New and improved studio this time. Yeah. All right, here we go. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. They made me do it. I didn't want to do it. They made me do it. Can't believe it, man. People are living in a dream. It's time to wake up, man. It's time to wake up. No doubt, man. Let me turn this down a little bit, man. It's getting out of control. Turn that down a little bit. All right. Man, so you saw the title. I know it didn't, it's not going to be a popular one, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. So what inspired this video was I was talking to a young woman. Well, she's really not that young. She's actually older than me. But anyway, I was talking to this woman, and I was explaining to her basically what I learned in college, and what was some of the things I gained from that. And I was going over my statistics class and how everything can be basically boiled down to percentages. And as I was explaining this to her, where the conversation, the tone changed, that was when I mixed in that information with, as far as people being rich, right? And that really changed the whole tone. Like, she got upset. Matter of fact, I don't think we spoke again after that. It's crazy. She kind of intellectually took her ball and went home, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, it's crazy, man. But it's crazy because all I was saying was the truth. But see, that's hard for some people to take because they have these grand ideas. They have these big ideas that they really believe that they can just decide, hey, I'm gonna have this. And that's a problem that especially our community is facing, because we really got hit with this hard over the pandemic. That's where you saw a lot of these people selling courses, mentorships, a bunch of stuff to try to get you to come up off your money, but they would do it under the guise of, I'm going to help you get rich, because everyone can be rich. And I already did a video breaking this down and where this whole philosophy comes from. If you go check that out, it's called The Father of Scams. You know what I'm saying? Go check that out. You'll see what I mean. But the truth is the truth. So let's go ahead and switch over to the Summer Jam screen. Yeah, so check this out. So, like I said, I was basically explaining how there's only a certain percentage of people that will have big money like that. And I know we all like to think, well, hey, that could be me. But that's how they play us, man. Watch this. Turn this on right here. Like I said, this is where the conversation went left. This is where she just couldn't take it, man. Her cognitive dissonance was mentally spanking her. Back. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens when you introduce an opposing idea to somebody who is closed-minded, or they're so intent on keeping that belief, even with the introduction of new evidence. There's really no talking to somebody like that. But it triggers their cognitive dissonance to where they get defensive, and they have to protect that because they're holding on to that hope that one day that'll happen. So you see on the screen right here, but before I get into that, as far as the whole math of it goes, right? And I want to give my version of the breakdown of this, just because I just want you to know what I was explaining in this conversation, right? So the first, which, of course, this is boring. I find it interesting, but, most people are going to find it boring. Most people won't even watch this. But it's something I got to leave behind, put in the algorithm. So your first introduction to math is basically 1 plus 1, right? 1 plus 1 equals 2. A thing plus another thing equals 2 things, right? Then they step it up with the algebra, right? Where they start throwing letters in the game, right? Beyond that is where you start stepping into statistics, right? And essentially, you're taking, instead of a thing plus a thing, you're taking a situation plus a situation, or a situation minus a situation. So take somebody's life. You could form an equation over somebody's whole life. Situation plus situation. For example, you take a person, you say, okay, he was born a man, plus he was born a black man, plus he was born and he has 2 parents, plus, you know what I'm saying? You could build up this equation. Now what happens is along the way, as we're building up that equation, we decide that we're going to take and make zeros certain places, meaning like just waste a chance here, waste a chance there, mess that up, and now we think we're going to get to the end of that equation with the same outcome as if we would have never added those or subtracted whatever it was situationally in our lives, right? So, but the truth is that's not true. You can have an end result. That's why in algebra you start with the answer first. You see what I'm saying? And you build the equation. Because in life, you can start with the one main goal and you build around that. But you can't build around that and say, I'm going to mess this up, mess that up, and still think you're going to get that same equation, that same answer, that same goal or outcome. This is what I was explaining. But because we get, and I'm sure she did too, I'm sure all throughout the pandemic, she was watching these people that were online selling dreams through courses and mentorships and different things like that. And she probably fell for that, believing, hey, I could do this too, even though you already had your time to do that type of thing. It's long since passed because it takes years and years to build something up. That's why you have to start early. When you look at the real majorly successful people of this world, they started early. Like you'll hear stories like Samuel Jackson, how he started acting at this age and that age. But you got to understand, he was pursuing that even before that. You see what I'm saying? That was an interest even before that. It wasn't like he just woke up one day and decided to go pursue that, which that's sometimes how we look at it when we see these type of stories. But if you really go and study the people that really have made it, you'll see that they started before they had kids, before they had family, before all of that. Now, of course, you can go and find some examples here and there, but when you're looking at percentage-wise, see, we have to be willing to step out of that it's possible thing. Because in statistics, what you learn is that everything's possible. If you take any equation and you take any circumstance or situation and you say, what's possible there? Everything has a slight possibility. But look up here at the screen. This is what people are saying when they say, well, it's possible. They're right. But look at this. So when you ask the question, out of all the world's adults, how many percentage-wise are millionaires? Right? Which I say millionaires only because that's what a lot of people would equate to being, financially wealthy, right? If you're a millionaire. Even though the more time goes by, that value gets less and less, which is another reason why it's probably not going to happen. Because by the time you get to a certain amount, now that's worthless. Which, as a side note, that's why I don't really think that there's really going to be any headway with this whole reparations thing. Because if they was to suddenly flood everybody with a bunch of millions, it would take the value away of being a millionaire. Like right now, we have all this stuff now where people can get on TV, you can get on the Roku channel. People got all these networks. And by the way, I don't want to be on TV. It's not what it's cracked up to be. That's a dream for those that don't know. But I messed up where I was going with that. But anyway, look up here at the top here. So we have out of all the adults, we have 1.1% are millionaires. Now, when you go and say, "Oh, that's of course it's possible," you say, "Oh, it's possible," but this is the percentage you're talking about. 1%. If you were in some kind of life or death situation and they say you only had 1% chance, you ain't gonna make it. That's basically saying you got no percent. You know, especially when you're looking at statistics and numbers and things like that. Now here's the hustle. Here's where people get jammed up. And I really feel like this is where this sister got jammed up, because she was paying attention to this kind of stuff here. Check this out. So if you go and listen to an Eric Thomas or a Les Brown, they're going to tell you, hey, anything's possible if you just want it bad enough. That's the motivation hustle. Because what they want to do is get you feeling good about it. Get you feeling good, because if you feel good, now you're going to spend. Okay? So you'll buy their books. You'll buy go to their conventions and all that stuff like this. And by the way, I got to tell you, I love these guys. Like, don't get it wrong, man. They're good at what they do. You need a boost in your life? Pull up some Eric Thomas or Les Brown and tell me you won't feel a little better. But here's the hustle of it, though. What they don't tell you is this. While you're making a decision based on how you feel, real businessmen, real investors, people that got money, and I'm not speaking from a place of like I'm any of that, because I'm not. All I'm saying is from what I've studied and what I've listened to and researched. Real people, you can look this up. I mean, you don't have to believe me. You look this up. You ask anybody. People that make business decisions, they don't do it off emotion. They look at the numbers. You see what I'm saying? But people that are so emotionally invested into an idea, they'll defend it. They'll get mad and you know, they just got almost want to cuss you out, because they don't feel good about what you're saying. Doesn't mean it's not true. So you have Les Brown, right? You go look up his. I did a video on this too. You go to my channel, check that out. Les Brown, he got this joint called It's Possible. He's like, I don't want you to say you could do it. I don't want you to say you could 100% do it. I just want you to say it's possible. Right? And I remember watching it too. I was the same one that was like, yeah, it's possible. I was entranced. But when I start looking at statistics and I start seeing how, yeah, it's possible, but it's this possible percent, this 1% possible. That's what they don't tell you, which means really it ain't possible. But of course, if you're emotionally tied in, you're gonna get angry at that. But you gotta look at the numbers. You gotta look at the numbers. What are the numbers saying? You know what I'm saying? That's the truth. That's the truth right there. People don't want to admit that, but that's just what it is. Man, I'm gonna use my life as an example, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking down like this. I'm talking up my life. I learned this from my life, right? You cannot mess up the first half of your life, okay? And really assume that you could live the last half of your life as if you didn't mess up the first half. Now here's you go. Is it possible? Yes. Yes, it's possible. But it's this 1% possible. Most likely, it's not going to work out. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because listening to this garbage and having this type of stuff in my mind is what made me throw away chances. I'm throwing away chances thinking, well, it's possible. I can still get out and make something of myself. It's possible. But why live life that way? Why live life in the 1% range? In the 1% possibility? Why not just do the right thing and step over into the 90, 95%, 98% range? That's the only thing. That's the only thing I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it's not possible, because as I was talking to this lady, right? She's telling me, well, it's possible. It's possible. I understand that. I understand that it's possible. That's how they sold me too. But what you gotta look at is get out of the feeling, get out of the emotion, and see that yes, it's possible, but it's 1%. And they can look at your whole life. They can map your whole life out. They can say, okay, you came from this background, you have this, that, and they can add up all the data of your life and come up with an equation as to where you will be, how you will end up. Now, it's not 100%. It's never 100% in statistics and science. It's never 100%. And I love that because that's like saying, hey, I could be wrong. But most of the people that you'll talk to, because they're so emotionally invested, they can't do that. They would rather end the relationship with you and any chance of doing any future business with you rather than to say, hey, maybe I could be wrong. And to me, I can do that. I got no problem doing that. But it's crazy the people that, because they're so angry, they have to be mad about it. And I'm not trying to we don't have to be mad. We don't have to fight. All I'm saying is, yeah, it's possible, but it's 1%. Oh man, we ain't even cracked the seal on this yet, man. We didn't even crack the seal on this. So like I said, even with my life, of course it's a struggle now because I was a fool earlier. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way it goes. You don't get to these people that didn't, make the same mistakes that I made. It wouldn't be fair to say, oh, I could just jump right back to where they are in life. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any sense. But you can still say, yeah, it's possible. Man, people. So, but anyway, look, forget about the statistics, right? Because that's already a big enough barrier right there. That should already let you know, when you look at your life, add up the circumstances, man. It don't add up to 1 million, trust me. Especially when you look at those that have the millions. And plus, it ain't all it's cracked up to be. You think it's gonna help you, it ain't. But besides all the statistics, besides all the math, because I know that's boring, as nobody wants to hear all that blah, 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 right? Even though it's facts. It's facts. But besides all that, most of us, and I'm including myself in this, I just learned this stuff. Going to college. That's why I like the whole college is a scam thing. Because in college, man, it teaches you how to research. It teaches you how to look up something instead of just, oh, okay, I'm gonna go with that, which is how we basically grow up learning information. We just take it for what it is because we're getting it from people in authority. But once you step off to college, now you can go and find out because you're constantly having to research, look up sources, get in the libraries and all that. So it teaches you how to start thinking in that way. Let me look into this a little further before I just jump onto it. So I don't like the whole college is a scam thing because it's a good experience for kids, man. Especially if you do it right, you do it coming out of high school, do your thing. That's the way you want to do that. But most of us, we never really get taught about money. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you go up in the college and you start learning, you really will learn a lot, just like with me. But really, when you look at how money works, really, in the grand scheme of it all, really, there's no way for you to be rich. Because you'll never have old money. You see what I'm saying? You'll never have own money. Even if you get some money, it's going to be new money. And I'm going to show you why that won't matter. Because we got something called... Well, let me turn this down right here, because this... We already seen that. So let's forget that. Let's forget that. Right here. Right here. Right? We have something called the Federal Reserve that most of us know nothing about. Watch this. Watch this. When I heard of the Federal Reserve, you hear about it occasionally in the news because they'll be talking about raising, lowering interest rates and all this and that. And I always thought this was some kind of U.S. government agency, right? Like they're a part of the government. That's not the case. Not even a little bit. The U.S. Federal Reserve is a private entity, a private business, a for-profit business that has shareholders, meaning people own this thing. And when you talk about money, you'll never be in this kind of control. You'll never have. This is money right here. This right here is real money, not the paper that we get. I'll explain. See, we as the U.S., right, we do not print our own money. Matter of fact, scratch that. We print our own money, but we don't print it for us directly. We are basically contracted from the Federal Reserve to print money for the Federal Reserve. Okay? Keep that in mind. We're not printing money for us. When you look at the Treasury and the U.S. Mint and all that, you see them paper sheets of money rolling over those machines. We're not doing that for us. We're doing that for the Federal Reserve. Now, a little history on this. The Federal Reserve began with about 300 people. Okay? All of these together have made basically what you could call a banking cartel. Okay? And they have more wealth than, when you're thinking about money, it's more than you could even possibly think about. That's crazy to even consider that. The Federal Reserve collects billions in interest from the money that we print. So basically, what happens is we print the money, but we're printing the money for the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve then takes the money and distributes it to all the banks in the country. Then they go and charge interest on all the money that we take from the Federal Reserve that we printed. I can't make sense of all this. It's crazy. And nobody thinks about this stuff when you talk about, oh, I'm gonna be rich. It's possible. It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. 1%. 1% possible. Don't forget that. I hate to bring you back to that, but yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Les Brown, Eric Thomas. Yeah, it's possible, but 1%. Goodness. So after it collects this interest, which is profit, it then shares it with its shareholders, who are mostly in England. Shout out to Andrew McLaughlin. You know what I'm saying? Your people are over there banking off all cash. I'm just kidding with you, man. I'm just kidding with you. I know you got love for the English, man. Hey, I love everybody, man. You know what I'm saying? But check this out. Through an act of Congress, gave control of the U.S. Treasury to the Federal Reserve. Just like that. Bang. And we will begin this thing of where we put the money, but it's for the Federal Reserve, not for this country. On Federal Reserve orders, it commands the Treasury Department print so much money. And then we give it to the Fed. Like I said, they distribute it to the banks and charge us interest on every dollar printed. Now, if a regular person did this, they would call this a scam. But because it's the government and it's big money, old money, ain't really nothing we could do about it. And it gets deeper. It gets deeper. A large percentage of the tax money that we pay in taxes is used to pay back the Federal Reserve. Now, I don't know about you, right? But I always thought when they talk about the national debt and how far we're in debt and all this stuff, I always assumed that it was like to another country or something. No, that's not what it is. We're in debt to the Federal Reserve. And when they talk about, oh, we're going to raise interest rates, I had no idea. That means they're raising how much they're going to charge us for printing our own money. $1913 was the start. Nelson Ulrich, who incidentally is the grandfather of the Rockefeller family, because these people think generations ahead. They think outside of our capability, even though it's hard to admit that. But these ultra rich, even just if you don't want to say ultra rich, even just the rich, it's a slight percentage chance. Nelson Ulrich, he pushed through the Federal Reserve Act. And it was a controversial thing as most of the representatives were away on Christmas break. Some would say it was an illegal move, but because of the time, what was anyone going to do? The Federal Reserve used to own, I don't know if they still do, but at one point in time they owned most of the major TV networks, controlling what is going out to the masses. If you remember the $2 bill, that's why you don't see them no more, because they didn't have the Federal Reserve note across the top. That was a United States note, at least initially. Money, real money that we had at one point in time was backed by silver and gold. Meaning as you held a paper money in your hand, you basically had a contract with the government that this was redeemable for gold or silver at any of the Federal Reserve banks. Now, the money that we have now, the value is determined by the Fed, the Federal Reserve. It's not real money. There is no more real money. That's why you'll never be rich. Because at any time, the Fed can call back the notes. They can raise and lower the value of our money. World leaders can get together and have what they call financial warfare. When you talk about we're waiting for the rockets and the tanks to show up, but these countries are already battling financially, bureaucratically. Whew, man, I'm getting hot. Had to turn the AC off because it's messing with the mic. Oh man, gotta work my way through this, man. Come on. So money is not the dollars that you think you can accumulate. You think that if I accumulate a mass amount of this paper money, that then you'll be rich. But people in the know, no. And I'm not saying this is from research. You can look this up. This is common stuff that's out there. Money is not the dollars, the paper that you have. It's the assets that you control. And even then, they can strip you of all of that. And I'll show you why. But first, we talk about printing money, right? We print money for the Federal Reserve, but only on orders from the Federal Reserve. Why don't they print money for health care, housing, homeless veterans, whatever the cause you want to put on it? Why don't they do that? For one, they would call it socialism. For two, because there's no return. There's no return in helping people. But when they know there's a return, they'll print off massive amounts. What's a situation that they know there's going to be a return? War. Think Twin Towers, 2001. Bush goes to Congress. I need this amount. They then go to the Fed. The Fed gives us that amount on loan, by the way. We enter war against terrorism. And people begin to collect massive amounts of money that me and you will never see. Trust that. And as much as you might want to not admit that, you might want to hang on to that 1% chance that you wake up tomorrow and there's $1 billion in your account. There's a chance that that's possible. But you and I both know that's not going to happen. I want to discuss a concept called parens patriae. Parens patriae. I'm going to spell it out just so you can go look this up. This isn't conjecture. P-A-R-E-N-S. Parens. P-A-T-R-I-A-E. Patriae. A concept born in England, by the way. A concept of basically a doctrine of government, of how to run a government. Parens patriae basically says that the government is the parent of its citizens. The parent. Now imagine what that means, right? Imagine you and your child. What kind of control do you have in that situation? Parens patriae. Stuff that's we probably never even heard of this. This is why you'll never be rich. Not only is it the government being the parent of its citizens, it's being the parent of citizens who are incompetent. In 1933, this country went bankrupt. And with any bankruptcy, the assets must be turned over to a, what do they call that? They must be turned over to a trustee. You go for bankruptcy, your assets have to be looked over and held onto by someone else. In 1933, this country went bankrupt. Through the Emergency War Powers Act of 1933, they declared us as citizens incompetent. Parents patriae would come into effect. And what we have to look at is when we talk about a country having assets, what are the assets? Or rather, who are the assets? Because the people of a country are that country's assets, because countries are now corporations. And corporations, because of the Supreme Court, has decided that they are now people, so they can own assets and own things. Some would even say that the 14th Amendment was not a moral in trying to make everyone equal, but rather a precursor to getting everyone on the same page so that we could then be turned over to the Federal Reserve as the trustee of the United States assets. Somebody wanted to do something about this. His name was JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. He wanted to change it back. He wanted to make it to where we printed our own money and we weren't under this control of the Federal Reserve. And you see what happened to him. Another example, a more recent example, James Traficant, an Ohio representative, tried to speak out about the Fed and this corrupt manner in which they tie themselves in with our government. That was in 1993. In 2002, he would be convicted of 10 charges, including bribery and fraud. Controversially, they would say this was a result of him trying to speak out against the Fed and put a stop to this. Because in reality, we all owe the Fed. We all owe the Federal Reserve. And it's a debt that they are going to make sure we can never pay back. Because these people that are in charge of this whole thing are people you never even see. People you never even hear about. You don't see them on the social media. You don't see them on none of that stuff. You don't see them on the news. You'll never know who these people are. But yet we've been given this idea that if you just work hard enough, picture the Fed building right there. If you just work hard enough, it's possible. You could be rich. It's possible. It's possible. But it's this possible right here. And that's just the reality of it. Enjoy your life. You don't have to be a millionaire to be happy. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be a business owner. Man, I look back and think, man, if I would have stayed with that first job that I had, imagine what I would be making today. We have lost the importance of a 401k, a retirement. I work in a lot of hospitals, nursing homes. I see people at the end of their life. And I'm afraid for my people because I see a lot of people that are going to be stuck with no end of life care. They're going to be stuck being a burden on their remaining family. Because we chased money and we chased this idea that we could be rich. We could be the boss. It's all foolishness, man. It's all there to play us. To keep us wasting our time. And we have grown people that when you say, look, this is the numbers. It's not about how you feel. Look at the numbers. And it's like they can't do it. The cognitive dissonance is too strong. But my prayer is that we as a people, and I mean all of us, can snap out of this thing where even when we see new evidence, even when we see new information, we will not change what we believe, what we think about a thing. And that's not reality. That's not how we make advances with technology, science, anything. Man. Once again, man, my name's Warren Garrett. I'm going to end it right there. Man, people, please, you got to see this, man. They're not going to let it happen. It's not going to happen. If you weren't already going for it, if you aren't already, in the middle of it, it's not going to happen, man. And if it does, hey, salute to you. I'm amazed by the outliers. But we can't live our life that way. We can't live our life in the 1%. Step into the 90, step into the likely. Once again, Warren Garrett signing off.